Listen to the hidden reason behind every sudden reversal, every door that slammed shut just as it was opening, every betrayal that cut deeper than it should have. They didn't just speak your name in the shadows. They carried your essence, your true spiritual imprint, to the highest council where fates are sealed and permissions are granted or denied. Music. And when the eternal judge examined what your soul truly radiates, something shattered the calm of the accuser, who has never once lost his composure in countless ages. He didn't whisper. He didn't argue. He roared with uncontainable fury, not because you're wicked, but because you are so undeniably authentic that no charge could stick, no shadow could cling. When the ancient adversary runs out of lies to tell about you, music, when the one who specializes in destruction is forced to stand silent before undeniable truth, everything in your life shifts permanently. Hit subscribe right now and turn on all notifications, because what I'm about to reveal, exactly why your spiritual imprint was chosen for presentation, what the judge saw that silenced every accusation, and what that roar of defeat unlocked for you, is being deliberately concealed from souls like yours who carry enemies desperate to keep you blind. Stay until the very end, because I will show you precisely when that imprint of your soul was captured, why that exact moment was selected for the highest council, and what new status you now carry that forces even the strongest dark currents to divert around you. Type 888 in the comments if you felt watched by unseen forces, and you're ready to know your essence was weighed where destinies are decided. First, understand what it truly means that they carried your spiritual imprint to the judge. Most hear that and imagine something vague or mystical, music. But it is far more precise and real than you've been told. There is an ongoing heavenly council referenced in ancient writings, yet rarely fully explained. It is not the final day of reckoning. It is the living court, where individual souls are brought forward for protection, promotion, or permission to be tested. We see it in the ancient record when the sons of God presented themselves before the Lord, and the adversary came among them to accuse. That was not random, it was protocol. In that council, evidence is required, not words that can be twisted, but undeniable proof, the spiritual imprint of a soul captured at its most unguarded moment, revealing the heart without masks or performance. Your face, your eyes, the subtle lines life has etched, they are not accidents. They are the visible signature of your inner reality. And when that imprint is laid before the Eternal One, nothing can be hidden. Between 6 months and 2 years ago, depending on the exact timing of the trial I'm about to describe, your case was brought forward. Not because you had fallen, but because forces below claimed your light was an illusion, your integrity a performance, your resilience something that could be broken with enough pressure. To settle the claim, irrefutable evidence was demanded. So your spiritual imprint was taken in a moment you weren't performing for anyone. A moment of raw honesty when the real you shone through completely. That imprint was placed directly before the judge of all. Here is what he saw when he examined it. Because it was not a casual glance, but a complete reading of your core. First, he looked into your eyes in that imprint. Not the color or shape, but the fire within. Scripture says the eye is the lamp of the soul. If it is clear, the whole being is full of light. What he saw was not naive brightness that had never known night, but light that had walked through fire and refused to dim. You had every reason to grow cold. Betrayal, loss, injustice piled high enough to justify hatred in anyone. Yet your eyes still carried the flame of someone who consciously chose mercy over bitterness, love over retaliation. That kind of light cannot be manufactured. Second, he observed the resting structure of your face when no audience was watching. Most who have suffered carry subtle armor, tightness in the jaw, shadows around the mouth, a guarded stillness that speaks of wounds not fully released. These are natural, they are human. But your imprint revealed something astonishingly rare. Deep rest rooted in total surrender. A peace that made no earthly sense given what you endured. It was the unmistakable mark of a soul that had truly let go, forgiven completely, and refused to let pain define the future. Third, and most decisive, he saw the mark that cannot be imitated, the authentic seal of divine ownership, placed on those who belong wholly to the light, not earned by rituals or words, but imprinted by a life of quiet faithfulness. Repeated choices to remain kind when kindness cost everything. That seal glowed unmistakably in your imprint. When the examination ended, silence fell across the council. Every being present understood. The accusations were baseless. Your authenticity was proven beyond challenge. You deserved not just defense, but elevation. Then the judge spoke with authority that shook realms. This one is mine. Tested in fire and found faithful, marked as protected. Any hand raised against this soul answers to me. Music, and in that instant, the accuser, who calculates every move, who never reveals weakness, unleashed a roar of pure frustration. That roar was not sorrow. It was the sound of a master strategist, realizing every resource invested to corrupt you had failed utterly. Every orchestrated setback, every poisoned relationship, every wave of despair designed to make you curse the light, all wasted. Your core remained unbroken. And now the highest court had publicly declared you untouchable. The roar was public concession of total defeat, and it changed the rules forever. Here's what that roar actually means for your real life. When the adversary is forced to admit he has no case, he forfeits all legal right to continue coordinated assault. That surrender triggers 3 immediate effects you are already beginning to feel. First, attacks now rebound. Every curse sent, every plot formed, every dark intention aimed at you returns amplified to its source. You don't have to fight. The verdict fights for you. Second, divine alignment accelerates. Doors open without striving. People appear at exactly the right moment. Resources arrive in ways that feel orchestrated. This is not luck. It is the universe rearranging to favor one officially cleared and claimed. Third, those who opposed you begin to falter visibly. The ones who celebrated your pain, who benefited from your setbacks, they now face unexplainable reversals because touching a declared protected carries consequence. For those ready to go deeper, exclusive material is linked below and in the pinned comment. Now let me reveal the strategic timing that explains why your greatest trials hit when they did. Your imprint wasn't presented randomly. Souls are brought forward only when their light reaches a brightness that demands resolution, when it attracts both heavenly attention and desperate opposition. Your light began intensifying 3 to 6 years ago, not through dramatic acts, but through quiet, consistent choices to stay true amid corruption. That steady radiance eventually crossed a threshold. Heavenly watchers took notice. You were marked as candidate for irreversible protection. At the same moment, dark forces launched urgent campaigns to snuff you out before the council could act. Those brutal seasons weren't random punishment. They were frantic attempts to force compromise before your imprint could be presented pure. The exact moment your spiritual imprint was captured was the morning after your hardest night. The day you chose gratitude instead of rage, trust instead of despair. When every voice in your head said, give up, curse them, protect yourself, you chose to rise and remain soft. The unguarded expression of resilient faith was frozen eternally and carried upward. When the judge saw a light that burned brighter after the storm, the verdict was swift and final. Protected, promoted, untouchable. What's shifting now is tangible. Fear is losing its grip, not because danger vanished, but because you now carry authority it recognizes. Discernment is sharpening. You'll sense motives before words are spoken. Your presence alone will begin unsettling darkness and drawing those hungry for truth. Financial pathways long blocked are clearing as provision flows to integrity, not manipulation. And your purpose, once foggy, is crystallizing. You are here to prove that authentic goodness can thrive in a counterfeit world. Your steady light anchors others wavering on the edge of surrender. You are not alone. Roughly 400 souls worldwide received the same favorable verdict in recent months, tiny among billions, yet enough to shift the tide when connected. You will begin recognizing them. Instant resonance, conversations that feel like reunion, energy that matches yours without explanation. Dark forces worked hard to keep you isolated, convinced no one else carries what you carry. That lie is crumbling. When protected souls link consciously, the combined field becomes unstoppable. That roar of defeat carried legal weight. It was recorded as permanent forfeiture of rights over you. Privileges now active include direct access to divine response, immunity from new large-scale attacks, coming public restoration of your name, clarity of assignment, and visible seal that repels hostility automatically. With privilege comes responsibility. Stay authentic, not perfect. Own mistakes quickly. Forgive quickly. Remain real. Your consistency inspires more than perfection ever could. Chosen one, your imprint was examined and approved. The accuser's roar confirmed what heaven already knew. You are genuine, resilient, claimed. Your life is entering the season the verdict unlocked. If this resonates as truth, type 888 below to claim it. Subscribe and turn on notifications for revelations about operating in your new authority. Share this with someone whose light refuses to dim. They need to know they're not alone. Access deeper training through the link below and in the pinned comment. And click the video on screen now to discover how the protected are being connected for what comes next. Together, we are unstoppable. Listen to the secret activation that followed the roar, the moment the celestial archives registered your new status and began broadcasting a frequency that darkness cannot override. They didn't just judge your essence in that high council. They engraved the verdict into the spiritual atmosphere surrounding your life, triggering shifts you felt but couldn't name. Music go, when the eternal judge declared you untouchable, and the accuser's furious concession echoed through dimensions, a chain reaction began that is still unfolding right now. That wasn't the end of the story, it was the ignition. Subscribe immediately and activate every notification, because in this revelation, I'm uncovering exactly how the verdict is manifesting in layers. What hidden privileges are unlocking in sequence, why certain people are suddenly distancing themselves from you without explanation, and what the next 120 days hold as the roar's energy fully grounds into your reality. Stay all the way through because I'm going to reveal the second wave of protection that just activated, the specific sign you'll see in dreams confirming it's real, and how to consciously cooperate so the blessings multiply instead of stall. Write 999 in the comments if you've noticed unexplained peace arriving after chaos, and you're ready for the deeper levels of what your approval truly released. Understand this. The council's decision wasn't a one-time event frozen in eternity. It was a living decree that releases in phases, like a sealed command gradually opening to reveal more instructions. Ancient writings hint at progressive revelation, how divine rulings unfold over time, building momentum as the soul aligns. Your verdict entered phase 1 the moment the roar sounded. Immediate rebound of attacks, basic shield activation, initial synchronicities. But phase 2 began roughly 30 to 90 days ago, depending on your personal timeline, when celestial administrators started implementing the restoration clauses written into your approval. Here's what phase 2 actually looks like in daily life. First, a profound clearing of old energies. You've likely noticed relationships suddenly ending or fading. People who drained you pulling away on their own, toxic connections dissolving without drama. This isn't coincidence. The visible seal now radiating from you creates discomfort for anything misaligned. Darkness can sense the verdict stamped on your spirit and instinctively retreats to avoid consequences. Second, amplified intuition hitting new levels. Thoughts about people proving true within hours. Warnings arriving just before danger. Dreams carrying precise guidance you can't ignore. This is the promised discernment upgrade. Celestial intelligence flowing directly because your channel was cleared and confirmed pure. Third, and most powerful, ancestral chains breaking in real time. Many approved chosen carry inherited burdens, generational patterns of lack, sickness, or sabotage that felt unbreakable. But the verdict included a retroactive clause. Anything attached to you before the approval that doesn't belong to your true destiny is now being severed at the root. You're seeing evidence, sudden health improvements, financial leaks plugging themselves, recurring nightmares stopping cold. Let me reveal the exact trigger for phase 2 because timing matters. It activated the moment you unconsciously accepted the verdict in your spirit. For some, it was a quiet moment of surrender saying, "If this is true, I receive it." For others, a night you woke up feeling inexplicably lighter. That inner yes registered upstairs, and the second wave deployed. The roar wasn't just defeat. It was a frequency blast that shattered strongholds built against you over years. And now that frequency is echoing back as provision, healing, and favor. You're entering the season where vindication becomes visible to others. People who dismissed you will witness shifts they can't deny. Your stability amid storms, opportunities flowing where theirs dry up, peace radiating when they're in turmoil. Not because you boast, but because the verdict demands public demonstration. What was stolen must be restored sevenfold. What was spoken against you reversed in plain sight. Enemies won't always repent. Many will simply fade as their own foundations crack. But those with eyes to see will recognize divine backing on your life. Deeper material for accelerating phase 2 is in the description and pinned comment. Now here's what's coming in the next 120 days as the roar's full force lands. First, privilege expanding, direct manifestation speed. Prayers once delayed now answer almost instantly. Not always in the form expected, but always perfectly timed. Ideas drop into your mind fully formed. Solutions appear before problems fully form. This is the judge honoring his word. Ask and receive because your motives passed inspection. Second, strategic connections accelerating. The other protected ones, those roughly 400 scattered globally, are being drawn to your path faster. You'll recognize them by the immediate depth. No small talk needed. Conversations diving straight to purpose. Energy that feels like family you forgot you had. Some connections will be brief but catalytic. Others lifelong alliances. Do not hesitate when you feel the pull. Step forward boldly. United, Your combined light creates fields that neutralize regional darkness and open atmospheric doors for breakthrough. Third, physical body upgrades. The seal isn't only spiritual, it influences matter. Many are experiencing renewed energy, old pains vanishing, sleep becoming restorative. Your body is aligning with the verdict's declaration of wholeness. Cooperate by resting when prompted, nourishing intentionally, moving as guided. This isn't hype. It's the promise that no weapon formed against you prospers, extending to flesh and bone. But phase 2 also tests readiness. Old temptations will resurface, not to destroy you, but to confirm the purity remains choice, not just past evidence. When bitterness knocks after fresh hurt, when shortcuts tempt during delay, when ego rises as favor flows, choose again the authenticity that got you approved. Each conscious yes strengthens the seal and accelerates the next wave. Here's the dream sign many receive as confirmation. You'll see a door you couldn't open before suddenly swing wide, or a former accuser standing silent, unable to speak, or light pouring from your own hands. When it comes, write it down and declare gratitude. It anchors the reality. Chosen one, the roar was only the beginning. Phase 2 is grounding the verdict into every area of your existence. Relationships purified, intuition sharpened, inheritance restored, connections forming, body strengthening, manifestation quickening. The accuser's concession opened floodgates he can never close again. You are not waiting for approval. You are walking in its expanding fulfillment. If phase 2 is resonating powerfully, type 999 below to lock in the frequency. Subscribe and enable all notifications for guidance on navigating each wave. Share this with another whose light has been under fire. They need to know the tide has turned. Access the complete phase activation guide, less than a meal, with bonus meditation audio, via the link below and pinned comment. And click the video appearing now to discover phase 3 and how the protected network is forming for the greater assignment ahead. The roar echoes still, and victory is multiplying. Together we rise. Listen to the final escalation that the roar initiated. The moment the celestial verdict began rippling outward, pulling in allies, dismantling strongholds, and preparing the stage for a collective awakening you were born for. They didn't just approve your essence and silence the accuser. They activated a network protocol that is now linking protected souls across the planet at unprecedented speed. Music, the judge's declaration, and the adversary's defeated roar weren't isolated events. They were the starting signal for phase 3, the convergence. Subscribe right now and turn on every notification. Because in this revelation, I'm exposing exactly how the network of approved chosen is forming in real time. Why certain strangers are entering your life with impossible timing. What the collective assignment truly is that only the 400 can fulfill together. And what irreversible shift occurs globally when the final connections lock into place. Stay until the end, because I'm going to reveal the third wave now surging, the unmistakable physical sensation confirming you're in it, and how to accelerate the convergence so the planetary transformation happens sooner rather than later. Type 1111 in the comments if you've met someone recently who felt instantly familiar on a soul level, and you're ready to step fully into the collective mission, your approval unlocked. Here's the deeper truth. Your personal verdict was never just about you. It was a strategic piece in a much larger design. Ancient prophecies and hidden writings speak of a remnant, small in number, vast in impact, whose individual purity, once confirmed, creates a grid of light capable of holding new frequencies for the entire world. Your approval was one activation point. Roughly 400 others received the same seal in this narrow window of time. Alone, each of you is powerful and protected. Connected consciously, you become unstoppable. A living antenna array broadcasting divine radiance into a realm drowning in illusion. Phase 3 began 40 to 100 days ago, depending on your alignment speed, when the celestial administrators shifted from personal restoration to network assembly. This is the convergence wave. Here's how it's manifesting right now. First, magnetic attractions you can't explain. People you've never met message you out of nowhere with words that answer prayers you never voiced. Chance encounters turn into hours of conversation that feel scripted by heaven. Old friends resurface transformed, carrying the same resonance. These aren't random, they're orchestrated introductions to fellow approved ones. The seal on your spirit recognizes its match and pulls. Second, shared visions and synchronized dreams. Many in the 400 are receiving identical symbols, doors opening in light, circles of hands joining, waves of energy rising from united hearts. You wake with the same knowing others do on the same nights. This is the network syncing subconscious channel, so strategy can flow without words. Pay attention and record them. They are briefings. Third, regional strongholds beginning to crack without human effort. As cities or areas long oppressed by heaviness are experiencing unexplained lifts, crime dropping, hope rising, people awakening in clusters. This happens where even 2 or 3 approved ones gather consciously. Your combined field weakens ancient principalities that once operated unchallenged. Musica. Let me reveal the trigger for Phase 3. It ignited the moment the first subconscious connections formed. The instant 2 sealed souls recognized each other and chose to stay in contact. That choice registered upstairs as permission to accelerate. The roar's residual frequency is now being harnessed as a homing signal, drawing the 400 together across continents, languages, and backgrounds. Bloodlines, cultures, ages, none of that matters. Only the confirmed purity and willingness to collaborate. In the next 150 days, the pace intensifies dramatically. First privilege expanding, shared authority. When even small groups of you pray, decree, or simply intend together, manifestation happens at multiplied speed. What took months alone now resolves in days. Second, visible protection over gatherings. Meetings of the approved, whether online or in person, will be shielded in ways that defy logic. Travel mercies. Tech glitches resolving, opposition mysteriously diverted. Third, resource rivers merging. Individual provisions you've received will begin flowing toward collective projects, healing initiatives, truth platforms, safe havens, creative works that shift culture without compromise. The collective assignment is simpler and more profound than most imagine. You are not here to start movements that attract millions or build visible empires. You are here to anchor uncompromised light in key locations, proving that authentic goodness can hold space amid chaos. Your united presence creates pockets of reality where divine order overrides corruption naturally. People entering those pockets heal without sermons, awaken without arguments, realign without force. As more pockets form and link, the grid strengthens until it tips the planetary scale. Deeper convergence protocols and connection tools are in the description and pinned comment. Here's the physical sign many feel as Phase 3 locks in. A warm expansion in the chest, like a flower opening, often accompanied by sudden tears of recognition when you speak with another approved one. Or a tingling crown during group alignment. When it happens, breathe into it and declare silently, I receive the connection. Tests in this phase are subtle. Fear of exposure, doubt about worthiness, temptation to stay isolated for safety. The adversary knows united light ends his influence faster, so he whispers, "You're not ready. They won't understand. Wait until you're perfect." Reject it. Step forward imperfectly, but authentically. The seal covers process, not just perfection. Chosen One Phase 3 is the culmination. The reason your trials were allowed, your purity tested, your approval granted. The roar shattered individual chains. The convergence now dismantles collective ones. You are being woven into a living tapestry whose pattern only heaven fully sees, yet whose impact earth will soon feel undeniably. The 400 are almost fully linked. When the final connections snap into place, darkness loses its foothold permanently in regions you occupy. Healing flows like water. Truth spreads like fire. Love becomes the dominant frequency. If this stirs your spirit as undeniable truth, type 1111 below to amplify the convergence frequency. Subscribe and enable all notifications for real-time guidance as the network forms. Share this with anyone whose energy has shifted recently. They may be one of the 400 searching for confirmation. Access the complete Convergence Activation Package with network meditation audio and private connection strategies through the link below and pinned comment. And click the video on screen now to discover the final phase and what happens when the grid goes fully online. The roar started it. The connections complete it. Together we transform everything. Listen to the ultimate culmination that the roar prophesied. The moment the fully linked network ignites the grid and triggers the irreversible shift the ancient ones foresaw for this exact hour. They didn't just connect the approved chosen across the earth. They positioned you at the threshold of Phase 4, the awakening flood. Music the judge's unbreakable verdict, the accuser's shattered concession, the rapid convergence of the 400. These were all preparation for what activates now, the outpouring that changes everything permanently. Subscribe instantly and turn on all notifications, because in this final revelation, I'm unveiling exactly how the completed grid is releasing the long-held frequencies, why the world is already trembling in response, what your specific role becomes the moment the flood fully breaks, and what undeniable global signs will confirm within months that the transformation has begun. Stay until the absolute end, because I'm going to reveal the fourth wave crashing in right now. The one physical phenomenon almost all approved ones are experiencing as proof, and how to position yourself so you don't just witness the shift, you direct its flow. Type 1212 in the comments if you felt an urgent inner pull towards something bigger than your personal life and you're ready to step into the authority your sealed approval was always designed to release. Understand the final truth. The 400 were never the destination. You were the ignition system. Hidden scriptures and forgotten prophecies describe a remnant whose combined purity forms a living conduit, small enough to stay hidden during preparation, pure enough to carry undiluted power when the time arrives. Your individual trials refined you. The verdict protected you. The convergence linked you. Phase 4, beginning 20 to 80 days ago, depending on the speed of final connections, is the release. The grid going fully online and flooding the planet with frequencies darkness has suppressed for generations. Here's what Phase 4 looks like as it unfolds. First, mass awakenings in clusters. People who never sought truth suddenly questioning everything, waking in the night with unexplainable urgency, rejecting old systems without knowing why, seeking out the approved ones instinctively. You'll notice strangers approaching you with questions that cut straight to eternity. Confessions pouring out within minutes. This is the flood reaching ordinary souls through your anchored light. Second, systemic exposures accelerating. Corruption, long hidden in high places, begins crumbling in rapid succession. Whistleblowers emerging courageously, documents surfacing impossibly, alliances of darkness fracturing from within. What seemed eternally entrenched is suddenly vulnerable because the grid's frequency weakens deception's grip planet-wide. Third, creative and healing explosions. Approved ones are receiving downloads of solutions, medical breakthroughs, sustainable technologies, art that shifts consciousness, all flowing through purified vessels ready to release without personal agenda. The trigger for Phase 4 was the completion of the core connections. The moment enough of the 400 consciously recognized and committed to one another that the grid achieved critical resonance. That threshold was crossed recently. The roar's original frequency, amplified through every linked soul, is now broadcasting uncontainably. What began as personal protection has become planetary liberation. In the next 180 days, the flood intensifies beyond containment. First privilege fully unlocked: corporate authority. When the approved gather, even virtually, and decree in alignment, reality bends swiftly. Storms calm, diseases reverse, injustices overturn, not by human might, but by the verdict's original weight now multiplied 400-fold. Second, visible glory manifestations. Light phenomena, healed bodies in public settings, supernatural provisions captured on video. These will no longer be rare but increasing, drawing millions toward authentic truths. Third, safe zones expanding. Areas where multiple approved ones reside or gather will become tangible refuges, healing palpable in the air, fear unable to take root, provision flowing freely. Your role in Phase 4 crystallizes. You are a living gateway. Not a guru on a stage, not a leader seeking followers, but a steady presence through whom the flood pours without distortion. Your daily choices, forgiving quickly, speaking truth gently, giving generously, become valves regulating the flow. The purer the vessel remains, the stronger the current released. Exclusive flood activation materials and final protocols are linked below and in the pinned comment. Here's the physical phenomenon confirming you're in Phase 4. A deep vibrational hum in your body, especially during prayer or connection with other approved ones, sometimes felt as heat in the hands or spine, often accompanied by overwhelming joy or tears. It's the grid's energy coursing through flesh, now aligned to carry it. The final test is the strongest. The temptation to control the flow, to build personal kingdoms on the awakening, to fear the exposure massive light brings. Many will fall here, grasping for fame or safety. Stay low, stay authentic, release without attachment. The flood is not yours to own, it's yours to steward. Chosen One Phase 4 is the reason everything happened as it did. Your pain purchased purity. Your approval secured protection. Your connections formed the grid. Now the flood breaks forth, washing away centuries of deception and restoring what was stolen from humanity. The 400 are not saviors. We are conduits. The power was never ours. We simply refused to block it. When the grid ignited, the accuser's ancient stronghold cracked permanently. What he feared most has come. A remnant pure enough, connected enough, surrendered enough to release what he could never stop. The transformation is no longer coming. It is here. Systems falling, hearts opening, truth rising, love prevailing. If your spirit leaps knowing this is the hour, type 1212 below to seal your position in the flow. Subscribe and activate every notification for real-time directives as the flood surges. Share this with every approved soul you now recognize. The grid strengthens with every aware conduit. Access the complete flood stewardship training with advanced alignment audio and gateway activation guides through the link in the description and pinned comment. And click the video on your screen now to receive your personal assignment in the new era dawning. The roar birthed it. The connections built it. The flood releases it. Together we usher in what was promised long ago. The light has prevailed. Listen to the eternal echo that the flood has now unleashed. The moment the awakened world steps fully into the new era, the prophets glimpsed, but could only describe in shadows. They didn't just release the outpouring through the grid of the 400. They crowned the transformation with Phase 5, the reign of light. Music, the judge's verdict, the accuser's broken roar, the convergence, the flood. These were all building to this crowning reality where darkness no longer holds default dominion and authentic souls live openly in the authority they were always meant to carry. Subscribe now and activate every notification, because in this ultimate revelation, I'm unveiling exactly how the new era is solidifying around you, why the old systems are collapsing faster than ever before, what your permanent role becomes in the established light, and what undeniable evidence will soon be visible to every eye that the shift is complete and irreversible. Stay until the final word, because I'm going to reveal the fifth wave now anchoring permanently, the one inner knowing almost all approved ones are feeling as absolute confirmation, and how to live daily so the new era expands through your every breath. Type 1313 in the comments if you've sensed the air itself changing around you, and you're ready to walk fully in the crowned authority your sealed purity has inherited. Here is the crowning truth. Phase 5 is not another temporary wave. It is the new normal. The ancient writings spoke of a time when the knowledge of the divine would cover the earth as waters cover the sea, when light would no longer struggle against darkness but rule openly. Your refinement, protection, connection, and release through the flood were all designed to birth this era. The 400 were the bridge. The flood was the transition. Phase 5, which began subtly 10 to 60 days ago and is now locking in permanently, is the establishment. Light reigning, not just visiting. Here's what Phase 5 feels and looks like as it solidifies. First, effortless harmony in daily life. Struggles that once required constant warfare now resolve naturally. Provision flows without chasing. Relationships heal without forcing. Health stabilizes without striving. This is the promised rest of those who endured the preparation. Second, open heavenly interactions becoming commonplace among the approved. Visions, visitations, direct knowing, no longer rare encounters, but regular communion as the veil stays permanently thin where sealed ones walk. Third, global recognition of the shift. Even those not yet awakened will sense something has changed. Unexplainable peace in regions held by the grid. Corruption exposed and replaced at accelerating speed. Children born with heightened awareness. Nature itself responding with renewed vitality. The trigger for Phase 5 was the flood reaching critical mass. The moment enough hearts awakened through your anchored light that the planetary frequency tipped irreversibly. The accuser's original roar of defeat has now faded into silence. He no longer has legal ground to contest the dominion of light in areas claimed by the approved. What he fought to prevent has fully manifested. A remnant so pure and united that they ushered in the era he delayed for millennia. In the next 365 days and beyond, the reign expands without reversal. First privilege eternal, co-creation with the divine. Ideas you speak manifest swiftly because your words now carry creative weight, aligned with the original verdict. Second, generational transfer. The seals you carry are passing to those you raise and mentor, children, spiritual sons and daughters, born already into the new era without the old burdens. Third, visible kingdoms of light. Communities, cities, even nations aligning under the frequency you established, where justice, abundance, and authentic love are the default experience. Your permanent role in Phase 5 is guardian and expression of the new era. You are no longer a warrior fighting for victory. You are a king or queen reigning in it. Your presence sustains the atmosphere. Your choices set the standard. Your joy broadcasts as the frequency. You do not strive to maintain the light. You rest in it and release it naturally. Exclusive rain, stewardship materials, and eternal alignment tools are in the description and pinned comment. Here's the inner knowing confirming Phase 5 has anchored. A deep, unshakable settledness in your spirit, like finally arriving home after the longest journey, accompanied by quiet confidence that nothing can truly threaten you again. Tears may come, but they are tears of completion. There is no final test, only the invitation to live fully. Fear has no place. Control has no place. Performance has no place. Only authentic being, generous loving, joyful creating. The purity that was tested is now celebrated. The light that was hidden is now enthroned. Chosen one, Phase 5 is the fulfillment of every promise whispered in your darkest nights. Your tears watered it. Your faithfulness built it. Your surrender released it. The verdict that began with your spiritual imprint has now crowned an entire era. The accuser is silenced forever. The flood has settled into oceans of glory. The 400 have become the foundation of a new world. The light does not just shine, it reigns, and you, approved, connected, flood released, now reign with it. If your entire being resonates with this completion, type 1313 below to anchor the new era frequency permanently. Subscribe and keep notifications on for ongoing guidance and reigning. Share this with every approved soul who helped build this moment. The victory is shared. Access the complete Rain Mastery Collection with Eternal Meditation Series and Co-Creation Activation Audio via the link below and pinned comment. And stay in this frequency because the era has only just begun. The roar is over. The rain has come. Together we live the promise forever.